All right, all right, all right. Hi, everybody. This is Kendell Lenice. Thank you for joining me on Kendell Lenice Live, the INNerview series. It's all about the inner. So, as I was telling my guests, who I'll introduce momentarily, I was talking about her. I interview celebrities and a lot of people with these amazing quote unquote talents and titles. But I wanted to do season 2 differently with Kendell Lenice Live because prior to this season, we did the interview series. And now for season 2, this is the second episode of the inner view series. So I'm pleased to have Jamie Watkins. She is the CEO and founder of My Piece of Happy. It's a coaching and consulting firm, as well as a community brand. She is a certified happiness coach and an impact speaker. Jamie empowers women to love themselves first so they can create the lifestyle that they really want and are worthy of. Jamie, welcome to Kendell Lenice Live, the interview series.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. And what I was telling Jamie off camera was that every time she goes, I scroll through Instagram, she's a light on my timeline because there's so many things that are the same on Instagram. You see the same thing, the same ad, the same girls, the same this, the same that, and it becomes mundane. But when I see you, it's really a ray of sunshine. And the background is amazing. I want that background. Where are you sitting right now?
I'm actually in a section of my living room that, thanks to the pandemic, became my home office.
Wow. And episode 1, I had Aisha Gore on the interview series, and she was in her sanctuary, her little place, and it was beautiful too. And I said, okay, you guys are setting the bar, you ladies are setting the bar high. So if I'm interviewing someone else for this, they have to come with the aesthetics and background because it looks so peaceful. Let me just start right off. Where do you find your peace?
Ooh, right into it. My peace.
Yes.
My peace, which is one of my core values, is ultimately in Christ. And what that translates into tangible almost is being mindful of how I spend my time and what I'm looking at, what I'm listening to. My peace is the absence of anxiety, which I used to struggle with heavily. And so managing that through release. And trusting God and trusting even myself more, all that I've discovered on my self-love journey.
I love that. And I definitely want to talk about what you do for a living, but you said something that was music to my ears just now. You said your love journey. So how long ago did this journey start, and why did you decide to take this journey?
The journey decided for me. And about 11 years ago now, it's going to be going on 12 years ago, I approached the end of my first marriage, or coming upon the end, when it was inevitable that was going to be the outcome. And that journey looked like finding myself at a very feeling unlovable, feeling defeated. I wasn't able to save this marriage, took a lot on myself, and had gotten to a place where I felt lost. My identity, a lot of identity wrapped up in being mom and wife, and didn't know how I had found myself in this place. I felt it depleted myself and didn't recognize who I'd become. And so it was just the ultimate, that's all you can do. I have nothing left. I have to love myself. And so the journey found me. And that's what I did. I embarked on a self-love journey to, okay, Jamie, is you got to do this. You got to take care of yourself. You have children, right? How do you want to show up? What is this going to look like? And so I loved myself enough to get out of the situation that wasn't healthy, and embarked on this still becoming journey, thanks to Michelle Obama coining that phrase, but this
Yes.
journey of reinventing myself, how I wanted to show up, and deciding what I had to do to not find myself in that situation again. Who I had to become, what had to change, who I had to, how I had to show up. And so I'm still evolving, I'm still becoming and growing, but it's been an amazing journey that's led me to what I do. If anyone, I just felt like this is why there's always a reason, right? Why life happens for us. So as a matter of fact, my motivational minute today was look for the lesson, right? What am I supposed to get out of this? It's never just for me, right? Our gifts are not for ourselves. So what do I have to do? And well, I have to. And I say have to because I feel like it's what I'm purposed to do. I believe that. So it's not an option. I have to help anybody else that feels like that or relates even closely to where I was, know that it gets better, know that they have choices, they have options, and that they can choose happiness.
I love that. You said so many profound things and you dropped so many gems, and I'm not even sure if you realize them. I'm sure you're intentional with your words, but really coming out of a relationship and a marriage and trying to find the happiness when you have been a wife or a mother, many women can relate to that and trying to figure out, okay, what does Jamie want or what does she need for her true happiness outside of these other people, although they're important, but what does Jamie need? And also you mentioned becoming, and that book was amazing with Michelle Obama. And I love the fact that it's becoming, because even at 50, I still haven't became, meaning I'm not to where I would still want to be. It's about growth and it's about learning. And I just did an interview prior to this, and I was talking about my book and how it's not for perfect people. It's for people who want to continue this journey of peace and growth and love. And then you also said, and I was trying to remember everything you said. You said, I can't even think right now because I was just so filled thinking, but it's really about trying to not look at an age or not look at a thing or an event, but try to look at everything as a whole. Like, how do I fit in? How do I respond to all of these things happening? And what's the lesson in it for your motivational minute? What's the lesson? And really identifying what happiness is. And what, to me, it might be something different from you, and to whoever's listening, it's something different. So on this journey that you've been taking and now still becoming, which I love, how did you turn this into a profession to help other women? Because I think that's phenomenal, because God gives you what you need and you think it might be for this purpose, but it's never for you. It's about someone else that you'll never meet possibly. So I think that that's amazing, using God's gifts and his gifts, meaning your gift and the gift of experience, to help other women. So how did you say, you know what? A happiness coach. That's what I'm going to do.
That actual title, if you will, right? That took that started with confidence coach. And then I'm like, well, that's a courageous confidence. Like, you don't really realize that you need a confidence coach typically. So that's going to be hard for, but I'm like, happiness, I know women will resonate with, and we all, right, want to be happy, right? And so, and I will talk about happiness a little bit, because it's not there's some emotion, there's that definition, that feeling, absolutely, but I think about 10%. I've never not done the scientific studies, but that it's feeling.
Yeah.
It's
and we lose it sometimes.
A state of being. And thus you can choose it. You can, work on the practice of choosing that for yourself. But how that became was, I went through, right? Still growing. And I always wanted my gifts. I knew helps, exaltation, giving, discernment. I know my gifts. Every time I take the test, that's my gifts. so how can I use these? It was like when I was little, I'm going to be a teacher, right? Always that serving. I'm going to be a teacher. Then it was like, I want a talk show, or, I'm going to do a YouTube channel. That just evolved that we're going to do couples ministry. And then I disqualified myself from a lot of that because of where I was. So how are you going to help someone and you feel like this? You can't even get your marriage together. So how are you going to do couples ministry? I disqualified myself until God qualified me through the experience.
Woo.
And so it evolved into, now I have to do something with this. And I read a book, and there was a line that said, your dream doesn't have an expiration date. And, God's timing is everything. It just ignited, like, it's not too late. It's not too late. And your story still matters. Even more so now, you have more to tell, more to share. And so I was like, well, what can I do? I had in my head, right, well, I wanted to get this building. All these limitations I put on what God could do. I don't have enough money. I can't do this. And it was simply do what you can with what you have. So I started a blog. I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be so elaborate. I can still get the message out. And so I just started blogging, and sharing happiness, sharing tools and tips, practical. I always say simple yet significant. Doesn't have to, don't overthink it. You can set simple things to make your life easier to discover what is important to you. And so it started with the blog that evolved into speaking in small groups, and that was supposed to get bigger and coaching like workshops. And then the pandemic happened. And so I had to cancel 4 events, and was really looking forward to those and kind of launching into this. I'm going to be able to, coach this group of women. And so once that happened, I looked into the virtual aspect and got my certification in my course virtually. And so here I am.
I think that's so, so powerful. And a lot of people think, because I'm going through this, a lot of people think exactly like you're thinking. Like, who am I to be this expert? And then they have imposter syndrome and trying to figure it out. Like, who am I to tell somebody else what to do when I'm going through that exact same thing right now? And I think who better not, to do it than someone who lived it, right, and experienced it. Even as a life coach myself, I am educated in it with college and certifications out the yazoo. But my biggest gift is my experience that I've been through all of these things I'm coaching you through, and I'm speaking on stages about. Yes, I have the educational background, but I have this experience, and God gives us this experience not to keep in our back pockets, but to release it, just like butterflies, like to the world. Like, when was that moment where you said, you know what, God, I see what you're doing here. I see.
Yes, it was the pandemic. It was when I was shrinking myself, something I, tell my clients not to do, with this burning. Like I said, I read that, and this just fire ignited, and I share with my husband, like, I got to do something. I don't know how, right? The blog came of that. And every day I would journal, right? I'm a New York Times bestselling author, and I speak on to women to the glory. I impact women's lives to the glory of God. But I wasn't doing, like, I just got my author coach. Because I was like, well, that's kind of, let's just start small. Like, let's just do little things. The blog is good. That's safe. Initially, I was like, I'm not even showing my face. And my sister was like, okay, you're going to have to, you can't just post quotes.
Oh, that's how you were doing it.
Yeah, I was really trying to, like, okay, I have something to share.
Easing your way in.
Yes, and the pandemic happened, and it was like, you were limited with what you could do.
Yeah.
But I have to do something. And so it was like, okay. Whereas, not to take away from the severity of the pandemic, and my heart goes out to everybody that lost loved ones and so forth.
Yeah.
But some good things were birthed out of that.
Yeah.
We learned a lot about ourselves, and and so that was really like there's more. And then my 2021 word, I tried to make it purpose. I tried to make it fulfillment. And God was like, greater, because you're still playing too small. And so now I'm like, okay, why don't I listen to what he said?
Because he got the answers.
He said what he said.
Right. He said what he said, right.
Yes, he said what he said. And so I'm really leaning into that now with, just be obedient. He's giving you the gifts. They're not for you. Someone needs what you have. And so I'm just showing up.
I love, and I know it came back to me, what I was going to say earlier, and I knew it would. I was like, God, he's going to give it back. But when we talk about happiness and we talk about contentment and wholeness and being full and our journeys and all of that, it's important what kind of energy you have around you, what kind of vibrations are going on around you, who is in your life, interrupting that, if you will. And I love the fact when I ask you to be a guest, even though I'm this positive person, everything that I put out is to the glory of God and to educate, elevate, and entertain people. Even with my standing reputation, which you didn't really know. Yeah, and I wasn't offended by it. No, and I wasn't offended by it. When I asked you to be a guest, you were like, well, I'm gonna check you out first. Let me see. Let me look at your stuff. Let me see if it falls in line with what I'm doing. And I didn't get offended at first. Well, maybe a teeny bit.
I'm glad that you didn't, because it really wasn't.
No, it was like a half a millisecond. And then I smiled and it was like, that's what I love. I love her already, because that's so important. And that's what you should have done. If you didn't know me and you didn't know what I was about, I could have came on here and been talking some foolishness or sabotaging you or stealing some of your energy.
To read my palm, and I'm like,
right, exactly. Like, come on, what do I see for your future? Right. Yeah. So I didn't get offended. I'm just teasing. Like, I was like, yes, I loved it. Tell me why that's so important to you to have what you're doing and who you are to fall in line with someone else's, if they're going to ask you to be a guest or if they're going to ask you to be in their space or they invite you to hear. Why was that so important for you?
Absolutely. That goes back to knowing my core values and trying my best to stay aligned with those, because freedom, for one, is one of my core values. And I need to be free to be me, right? All of me. Yeah, I'm going to say God. I'm going to say Jesus. Like, I need to be free to just be me. The minute, if it looks like I'm going to have to, well, we don't want you to say this, well, we don't want you to offend.
Yes.
Okay, that's not for me then, because I did that long enough and played these roles that didn't serve me well. And so that was part of reinventing myself, right? I want to make sure that I always give myself the freedom to be me. And I didn't see anything that said otherwise. Your vibe was good. It wasn't like, well, I'll send you. I really like that. I said, no questions or anything. And you're like, no, organic conversation. Like, okay, great. So then, I'm not going to say something. You're like, let's scratch off number 4. Don't go there. Like,
right.
So that was important. And it's important that my brand and, I am saying God, and I am saying that this is my purpose. And so I need to make sure that that's going to be fluid throughout what I do.
Yeah. And I think that that's so huge that you live with that intention and that purpose to be who you are, because, throughout life, a lot of people are not who they are because they're still trying to figure it out. And a lot of people say yes to things, or they do things, or have people around them where it's not conducive to growth or to healing or to just who they are. But a lot of people will say yes. And you're right. People back in the day, it was taboo to talk about God in an interview. If you were a celebrity, like, they would tell you, if I'm interviewing them, don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics. They would give me this sheet not to talk about, or people would be embarrassed to speak about God. And I'm so glad that that's changing. I know in every my goal in every interview that I'm a guest or the interviewer, my goal, and I made this promise to God that I don't care where I am, I don't care what platform I'm in, I'm going to mention your name in every single interview. I don't know how it's going to come out, I don't know what, but it's going to be said. And so far, and I do a lot of interviews, I mention God. It's so important to do that. So I get it, because some people will be like, nah, this ain't that type of interview. We don't want you to talk about God. But it's like, how can you not give him the glory when you're sitting right here and he gave you all of this? Like, how do you say I did it? And this is no diss to anyone. The people who say they're self-made, like that's something that really makes me cringe. I hear people like, I'm a self-made millionaire, I'm a self-made businesswoman, I'm a self-made, and I'm like, are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna tag you, and I'm gonna find my post. It's down on the line. It says God made, because
oh wow,
yeah,
I would love to see that. Yeah,
you definitely. I would. That's scary to me.
It is, because don't you feel like God is gonna be like, oh really?
Right? Yeah, like
wow, let me show you.
Right. Yeah, see how you do now. Like
right. See how you do without me. Even though, because he is a jealous God. And if you saying I'm doing everything, he's like, okay, you don't need me. And then when you need him to intercept, you like, God, where are you? And he's like, you self-made. Figure it out.
Yeah, definitely. I have tried, I won't even say intentionally, but I have tried just as simple as like, okay, I'm just going to do the blog, or I'm just going to do these quotes, right? Try to think, I know how I'm going to do this. This makes sense. And then God's like, yeah, no, I had something else in mind. So yes, like I said, I'm learning, still becoming, but definitely getting better at, okay, what do you want me to say? And how do you want to do this today?
Yeah.
And that has proven to just work. I'm patient. I am very I'm in a couple of coaching groups, and it's like, well, the numbers are low, so you gotta do this, do that. And I'm like, well, I know what he told me, and so his timing is the best timing, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
The experience has taught me that, though, which is why I tell anybody, your story, all of your story matters. One of the exercises my clients do, their pre-work actually, to the program, is a thank you letter. And it's a thank you letter to not a specific age, but just to every bit of you that brought you to this point. Now you're investing in yourself and you're saying, look, I want to align self-love, happiness, and purpose. A thank you letter, because all of that, right? We discount ourselves and we say, well, not that part. And all of it matters, and all of it got you right here.
Yeah.
It's the resilience. If it's the little girl that survived some trauma, like she made it, you're here.
Yeah.
So all of that matters, and you'll be able to help someone else.
That's so true. That's so powerful. And I do something similar with my clients, but I like just speaking to yourself, but I like the form that you use, a thank you letter. Because I always talk about being grateful and thankful and show gratitude for everything that you've been through and gone through. Write the letter to your younger self, but I love the form of a thank you letter, because it really is a thank you, even if you don't understand it, even if you're still going through it now. It is for a greater purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be able to appreciate that.
Yeah.
So we talk about happiness. How do you define happiness?
For me, like you said earlier, it's different for everyone. Happiness to me is that, and actually, it's like, I know this question's gonna come, right? So, I have this definition, right? Okay. The state of being joyous and carefree is what that says behind me. A feeling that lifts your spirits and causes one to smile. So now the second part we're all familiar with, right? That feel good, smiling, happy. That, wouldn't that be great if we can all be that? I want to focus on, to me, that first part, that state of being joyous and carefree. Joyous, right? Great happiness, full of joy, and carefree. I wanted to be correct, looked up the definition, free from anxiety or responsibility. To me, that's what I embrace the most, that state of being joyous, which again is not the second part, not the feeling part, but that mental state where you are, that you can choose that, right? That no matter what the circumstance, situation, what that one said, I choose joy. And that because I battle with anxiety, that carefree, that I'm not going to worry about this. God hasn't failed me yet. Like, I know that story, right? That thank you letter. I know that it's all going to happen for my good. Like, it's all going to mean something. Look for the lesson. And so that's happiness to me. It's the peace. It's the freedom, those core values, right? It's serving, knowing that, okay, this is what I'm here for and I have a job to do. All of that is happiness to me.
When can you think back to a time where you had to fake happiness until you got to real happiness? Can you talk about that for a moment? Because I know someone watching desperately wants to be happy. They don't know how to kind of fake it until they actually feel the real thing.
Yes. That's twofold. The fake it till you make it and just the faking it.
Yeah.
I was in the faking it for a long time because I wanted so bad to be happy. And so I would twist what happiness was to me. I hadn't had that realization of sit with myself and get to know myself enough to know what really happiness is, right? So I gave up that freedom that is true happiness to me because, well, if you like my hair like this, or if I act like that, then you'll like me and then I'll be happy. And if you're happy, I'm happy. You don't know how many times I said that. Never thought about it until, hindsight's 2020. If you're happy, I'm happy. That was not true. That's not true. And I'm responsible for my happiness.
Yeah.
As is anyone else.
Yeah.
Responsible for themselves. And so I did fake it a lot, and not a conscious, almost a subconscious, like, okay, well, maybe happiness looks like this. Let me try this.
Yeah.
Maybe this is it. And let me make it so. Let me settle for good enough because I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Let me shrink myself because I want to be happy. And it's not happy. But you spend a lot of time maybe trying to make something that isn't. So I would say to any listener or anybody that's like, I want that, but I don't know even where to start, or I don't know. One, which is why I stress self-love. And that's not a selfish thing. I think it's a disservice if we don't love ourselves first, that we can't really show up well for those that we do love and want to love. So I would say take some time with yourself. 15 minutes in the car, don't go pull up and don't go inside, like quiet, right? In the shower, somewhere you're not disturbed or distracted, but some time to get to know yourself, like really think about, meditate if you can. I know a lot of people, that's a practice, but some time with yourself to think about what it truly is, not what it looks like, not what you think it is or what you're trying to make it. What is it for you? Get to know yourself enough, because sometimes what we want, if we're honest with ourselves, we're saying we want it, but that we really wouldn't do it, right? I'd be happy when I get that job. And you get the promotion, like still not happy, because that's not what it is, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be happy when you're not scared of your past. Maybe that's genuine happiness. But we kind of call it other things and don't really do that inner work.
Yeah.
And so I'm really thankful for these interviews, and I look forward to watching, your future guest. That's where it does start. And like you said, the titles and all that you did, the first series, right, is about the inner.
Yeah. Because I find myself, because I find myself with any interview that I do, I still go into here with everybody. And when I interview people, they're like, I don't want this interview to stop, or I feel like I know you, because I ask different questions and they all come back to here. Like, okay, we'll talk because that's the job, to talk about whatever you're doing or whatever you have going on. But my interviews never last there long. I'm always going in here. So I'm like, I might as well do do that from the beginning. Yes, I'm going to talk about what you do, but the only reason why we talked about what you do is because it falls in line with that inner. But if you were an engineer, that's nice, but I wouldn't even mention that, because this show is really about that journey of healing and growing and finding that internal peace. And, you know, even my book, My Personal Journey of Peace, is trying to, my guided journal, to do that. So that's really what it's about. And I'm a certified meditation practitioner. So I love that you said even finding that, you know, and I do virtual classes. So for anybody who wants to do what, you know, what Jamie suggested, I think that that's perfect. And I love the fact that you said in the car, in the shower, and even when I do meditation, I try to eradicate that you have to sit in a lotus position and you have to be this type of way or look this way. Like, you can do it sitting in the chair. I've done it in the dentist's office plenty of times, in the dentist chair. When I had to get a root canal, I was like, they were like, you want to listen to music? I said, no. I closed my eyes and I just went into myself. I can hear them faintly talking. Then it got less and less. And, you know, I was really focusing on that meditation piece. It's so important. How do you honor yourself, Jamie?
Oh, by staying aligned. I think honoring myself, just like you mentioned, right? With this, not saying yes to everything, honoring my personal boundaries, and honoring we have it under the umbrella of happiness, right? And I think I'm using them interchangeably, almost, your core values, but honoring my beliefs in what is most important to me is how I honor myself, not settling for good enough. When I serve a God of abundance, if God says greater, go for greater, and don't be, scared. If I want more, that's okay. I'm absolutely grateful. I have a daily gratitude practice for what I have, but allowing myself to go for more and get better, continuing to grow. Yeah. Probably value myself the most with my growth, just continuing to want to learn and making up my mind that I'm not done until I hear that well done.
Yes. Wow. No, I love that. And so many people don't honor themselves because, and I'll go back to the thank you letter. That's why that's so important to really acknowledge where you've been and what you've gone through, because so many people don't honor themselves, or they don't even know what that means or how to do that or how to begin, because there are so many splinters or broken pieces, or still the glass, the cutting glass, or the wood chips or whatever it is still are in the flesh, if you will. You know how when you get a splinter and it bothers you, and then eventually, I remember I had a splinter on my foot since I was little, and I still never got that out. Eventually it pushed itself out. I remember I got a splinter and it was stuck in my foot for years. You could see this splinter and it just kept going into my skin, and you still move, but it's still something there. And it eventually pushed itself out. And that's really what you have to do as a person. Like, you have those bruises, you have those things still there, but eventually, if you keep doing the work or do what you're supposed to do, it's going to push itself out, whether you like it or not. So you have to be prepared how it comes, because sometimes it comes out where somebody is telling somebody about themselves, or sometimes it comes out in a calmer, disciplined way. So it depends. That's why it's so important to honor yourself and do your self-work. You talked about self-care. What's your favorite thing to do for self-care? I know I have self-care Mondays. So every Monday I get dressed or not. I take a shower, put pajamas back on. I do what I want or not want to do on Mondays.
I love that.
Yeah. Yes, every Monday. So I sleep longer. I stay in the bed longer.
Yes, I'm gonna have to take that down. I like that.
Yes. So what do you do?
And that you give yourself options.
Oh, I do. I'm like,
that's beautiful.
I might want to do it. Never mind. I wanted a smoothie bowl yesterday, real quick, and it was Monday. And I get this acai berry bowl, like I love it. And I wanted it so bad yesterday. And my daughter was going to go take me to get it because she was going to go that way. And I was like, never mind. I don't feel like getting dressed. I was like, we can go tomorrow. So I'm going today. But I just didn't want to get dressed. Now, other times I would have pushed through and was like, I want that. Let me put clothes on. But that's not in my heart what I wanted to do. I didn't want to put real clothes on.
Yes. That goes right back to be clear on what you really want, not what sounds good to say that's going to make me happy, right? It sounds good to say I want that bowl, but in your heart, you're like, I don't even want to get dressed.
Right.
So go with that. Yes, I love that.
Yeah. So now if my daughters would have wanted me to go somewhere or do something, even if I didn't, I would have, because I wanted to honor them, but now I honor myself.
Yes, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. I mean, I do the nails and massage thing, but my favorite, which I don't get to do a lot, but I call it self-care, is I love traveling, and I love the warmth of the sun. So if I can't I go in my head. Matter of fact, this past Saturday's post, I posted an ocean picture of Aruba. I just take trips. Like, sometimes it's with my husband. We'll lay there and I'm like, okay, where are we going? Like, oh, we're back in Paris. Like, but so I just take myself there. It gets me through some planks too. That's not self-care, but when I would be working out, I'm like, okay, I'm not here right now. I'm just back. But yeah, I just take my trips away. And sometimes, we were able to take the family this past April, but sometimes we could physically go, and sometimes I just go in my head.
But you know what? And I do this when I do virtual meditation and I teach classes. I do this meditation vacation. I do it. I'm like, come on, let's go on a meditation vacation. And at first they might be like, because even when you started talking, they might have been like, oh, she's going all of these places. But you can go anywhere.
And I just recall the feel, like, okay, I remember that, or the food, like, oh yeah, that was good. Like, yeah, we're eating those baguettes and that fresh squeezed orange juice. Like,
But I love that you said, and sometimes I'll get on a plane. And I think that's when people really got it, when you said it, like, wait a minute. Oh.
Yes, I do. I do travel. That's why I can recall the vivid memories. And then when I can't, I'm like, well, I'll go in my head.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I think that's great self-care. Especially if you love to travel and you love, massages and nails, all of that. And if you love to travel, that is self-care, because you're doing something that perpetuates happiness for you.
Yes.
And why do you think so many people feel they don't deserve to be happy? Like they're not worthy. Talk to that person.
Yes, and I have been there. And really, it was growing up with, and I don't know if it's cultural, but it was that be thankful for what you have, right? That's what we're in that, and to an extent, yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? That sounds, yes, be thankful for what you have. But the undertone of that was, don't ask for anything else. Like, don't ask for anything else. Be thankful for what you have, right? When you get in the store, don't ask for nothing. You got this at home, right? So it's this, you go into that, which we, haven't pushed out yet. It's there. We may not recognize it.
So true.
But it's a mindset that's be thankful for what you have. And so when you find yourself in a place that you're not happy, that's not serving you well, just be thankful for what you have, right? It could be worse.
So true.
You play that like, I mean, who am I to want more, right? I should just be thankful for what I have. And you settle for good enough, and you settle for, well, you believe like that could be worse, and it stops there. I'm like, but sis, it could be better. It could be like, and you don't have to wait until you're broke. That's my story. But to anybody listening, right, you don't have to wait until you're broke to be better. You can just know that you're worthy of more and go for that. And be thankful for what you have, but remove that limitation that says don't ask for anything else. If you're not fulfilled, which I believe is directly aligned with your purpose, right? Or there's going to be that tugging, that's something you should be doing, then pursue that. Passionately pursue that happiness, passionately pursue that fulfillment, and allow yourself just simply, and I say simply, I know it's a process, but give yourself permission to want more. If you don't like something, you can change it, right? Give yourself that permission to not settle for, like, well, it could be worse, so I'm just going to get stuck. I'm going to, and so many of us, and I've been there, just felt like, well, I've made these choices. I landed myself here, and I should just be thankful for what I have, that this is as good. And literally was told, why can't you just accept it like it is, like that is what it is? And that kind of backfired into okay, I will accept that this is what it is. And now I'm going to go a step further and decide I want more. This is not good enough. And I want more. And I'm going to give myself permission to pursue that.
That's so, Jamie, I'm so glad that you brought that up. That is so true. You are raised to think of, not asking for more, or not giving yourself permission, like, be thankful for what you have, like, don't rock the boat. God has blessed you already. Like, God is not an infinite God. Like, he can't keep on doing it over and over. But that's so true. Be thankful for what you have. Don't push it. You already have. And I think people are conditioned to keep thinking that, well, this is already going good for me, or I don't want to, I don't want to push God for too much. Right. There you go. Greed. I don't want to be greedy. We're not supposed to be sinful. We're not supposed to be gluttons. So I'm not going to ask, when he says abundance is ours.
Yes.
But people do. You're so right. People don't want to shake it, and then they're dying inside because they feel like they don't have the permission to be happy or ask for more. We are telling you all, you have permission to be happy. And anything that you want, you have to ask for it and know in your heart that it's already there.
Yes.
Wow. That's so powerful. And hopefully, people will get that. If someone comes to you as a coach and they say, you know what, you're the happiness coach, well, then make me happy. What do you say? Because I know some people think it's like a magic wand. Well, then make me happy, Miss Happiness Coach.
I have had a couple of those calls. Yes.
I'm waiting. I'm tapping my foot.
What can you do for me to make me happy? Yes. And it is a self journey that I will guide you through, right? I ask the questions. I help you to push that splinter out, using your example there.
Yes.
I help you, but this is a process. This is inner work. It is definitely inner work that I hold your hand and guide you through, because I've been there, or similar. All right. I don't claim to know everyone's story, but when I'm talking, I kind of attract, like, I feel like we attracted each other. I attract, for the most part, like-minded women. Yeah. So once I start, like, I can help you. I know what that feels like, to feel stuck, right? I know what that feels like, to be uncertain of yourself, to help you to trust yourself, to let you know, I got you. I got your back. You don't have to do it alone. But it is self-work. It is self-work. And I use, like I said, the simple yet significant approach, which is just that idea of, okay, you have, right, this, whether you're trying to build the mountain, it's going to take a stone at a time. Or if you're trying to tear down something, it's going to take, a stone at a time. Sometimes we're lucky, we get that one like a Jenga and we can get it out. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little more, we got to take our time. But know that either way, if it's something you need to tear down or somewhere you're trying to get to, that you can get there. And I tell them, embrace the process and enjoy the journey.
Yeah, it's so important. Embrace the process and embrace the journey. And that's why Jamie brought up becoming earlier, because it's not a place of arrival. It's not like, okay, I'm climbing this hill, and now I'm at the top, I'm queen of the world. It doesn't stop there, because then you got to come back off the hill, and then you have to go through the journey, getting through the rocks and the water, and you got to go through and do it again. And it's a never ending.
Have someone with you this time.
Say that again.
I said, you may have someone with you this time that you're helping, right? So yeah.
Yep. So it's about that. And that's what the series is about doing your inner work and doing your self-work and really being self-aware of who you are and what you need to do. So the last question I want to ask you, Jamie, is when was a time where you were forced to see who Jamie really was and maybe you were like, ooh, I don't like that.
Well, I'm glad that's a good question, because what I was going to say is, before I answer this next question, I wanted to pause where you just said self-awareness. And I use the Shakespeare quote a lot, talking to people, to thy own self be true. To thy own self be true, good, bad, and the ugly. And so, which leads into your question, right? Like, I have to know, like, that I'm not really a perfectionist because I want to get it right. I'm a perfectionist because I'm scared to get it wrong. I'm not really a people person. I'm a people pleaser because I want to be liked. I want to be accepted. I had to come to that, right, awareness of myself. Like, okay, why are you acting like that? Or why did you even agree to do that? Well, it wasn't because I'm just this nice, I'm just this nice person. I just wanted to help. No, I wanted them to like me. And so then what are you going to do about that? Because there's going to be situations where people don't like you, Jamie, right? So I have to like myself. I have to love myself enough that no longer steers my decisions, and I can set up boundaries that don't leave me burnt out because I'm not trying to people please. But that took the self-awareness, right? That took, because it sounded good to say I'm a people person and I'm just a perfectionist. I just like my things in order. Well, no, you're so stressed out and anxious about messing up and getting it wrong. Yeah. You're not sleeping at night and you got stomach ulcers.
Right. Like, call it, like Iyanla says, call a thing a thing.
Yes, exactly. Call it what it is. To thy own self be true. Is that really it? Or is it this other thing that doesn't sound so great and doesn't look so good? But that's okay, because when we do that, when we are self-aware and we can identify it, then we can work on it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the important thing in not running from ourselves and having that time, setting those check-ins, having those dates with yourself. I recommend once a week, and build up. Maybe your dates will get longer the more you love yourself and you're like, I need a whole Monday. But
yes,
start small. If it becomes,
look, I'm 50. I deserve a one day to do what I want to do or not.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. And that, I'm on my way, because now I have something to, that's a great idea. But yes, so that self-awareness, that was a time for me, like getting over that perfectionism, getting over the people pleasing, why I stayed here too long, or why I never spoke up about this, that I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted to be liked at the cost of losing myself. And now that I love myself and I'm continuing to grow and love myself, one, that self-awareness, I can identify those ugly parts a lot sooner. Even if it's just how I said something to my husband, it's like,
yes,
I heard how that sounded. Let me fix that, right? Like,
yeah, I'm guilty of that one. I am.
It's out, and you're like,
no, you're like this. You're like, ooh, you made yourself cringe. Like,
and I gotta think about how I'm gonna. Okay, right. But yeah, so I look at the calendar and I'm like, that's why. Okay. But that self-awareness, you get more comfortable with yourself, and and it's not always going to be pretty, but it's all you, and that's the freedom to be, and that contributes to your happiness, right? When you're not fighting against yourself, and you're not hiding, and you're not shrinking, and you're not pretending because you don't even want to look in the mirror. Yeah, it's like, you know what? All of this matters. And what I don't like, I can change. And I'm just going to continue to become and get better.
Yeah. So what I hear you're saying is you're honest with yourself, and you also extend yourself grace to kind of walk into who you really are or who you want to be. So recognizing who you are, addressing the parts that you don't like so much, and doing the work where you want to become better and grow. And I love that. It's so important to be honest about who you are. I always would say nobody can tell me about myself because I have done the work and I know exactly who I am. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm just an amazing person. I'm talking about the good, bad, and ugly. Right. Like, I know who I am, and it's just my life's purpose to really work on that. And it sounds like it's yours too.
Definitely. I like, how do you stay so happy? And I'm like, I'm not all the time, but I choose when those times I'm not, I have to choose, like, you know what, snap out of it. Like, let's do it. You don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And I'm not my high cheekbones or smiling or whatever people would think, like, oh, you're just the friendliest person to everybody. I'm not the friendliest person because I don't do foolishness. Like, I have a low tolerance.
We sound like we are the okay, and that's the same thing people think about me, but then it kind of shifts with what you just said.
Yeah, I will block, I will unfollow, I will, like, look, don't send me nothing else. Like, I don't do the foolishness.
Right. Like, I feel you. I feel you on that. Jamie, you have been just an amazing guest, and this is what this platform is about. So whoever's watching, if you are on a personal journey, a spiritual journey, a healing journey, a growth journey, a happiness journey, if you are really doing the self-work or you want to do the self-work, I would love for you all to be a guest on this show. It's about the journey and wanting better for yourself. Now, Jamie's a ray of sunshine going through. I was like, I gotta have her on there because it's certain. But even if you don't have what she has and you want to get it, then you can come on too, because it's about doing the work and I can coach you through that. And you can call Jamie to help get your happiness back. Tell them how they can get in touch with Jamie, the happiness coach.
Yes. My Piece of Happy. So that's PEACE. And that's on across the board. That's Instagram, Facebook, mypieceofhappy.com. Yeah, so.
And this is Jamie Watkins. She's the CEO and founder of My Piece of Happy coaching, consulting, and community brand. I implore you all to follow her on social media, because this is where you need to be. If this is what you're trying to aspire to, and she's saying, hey, I'm there, but I'm not all the way there. We can all do this thing together, because that's what sisterhood is about. And that's what growth is about. It's not about tearing one another down or, judging someone else's story or journey. It's about healing and growing and learning together.
Yes, we grow better together.
Yes. And lastly, I just want you to talk to someone right now, Jamie. I'm going to end with you. Talk to someone now who has made it through the storm.
Has made it through?
Yes.
Hey, okay, sis. Congratulations.
Because they didn't think they would.
Yes, congratulations. And welcome to the other side. Like, I'm super proud of you. Keep going. Know that your best is yet to come. And stay encouraged even on your hardest day. Remember, you've already made it through some tough things. So you are resilient. You are enough. You are equipped and you are empowered to do exactly what you were created to do. Yes. And you win at the end. So
yes. I love that, because people always say, well, coach them through, but they don't know that they need that reinforcement to stay there. Yes. So thank you for that, everyone. This is Jamie Watkins. Wasn't she a joy? This is what this show is about. Thank you, everyone, for watching Kendell Lenice Live, the INNerview series. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Definitely share. These are the kind of conversations with Black women and people that need to go viral. Sincerely, not all the foolishness and the stereotypes, but these kind of conversations are what really need to go viral. So make sure you share and definitely subscribe and tell your friends and family about this show and this channel. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you so much. Thank you for answering the call.
Thank you. To God be the glory.
Yes, to God be the glory. On that note, take care, guys. Bye-bye.